The Dental Download Podcast is your source for insight into dental school, conversations with dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Haley Schultz. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday and happy 4th of July Independence Day for my American USA listeners. 4th of July is our Independence Day, and that's the day that this episode is going up. And I actually have this whole week off of classes, which is very nice, much needed. We don't get a ton of breaks in dental school, probably about 6 weeks the entire year. So this is one of those weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'll share my weekend plans with you soon. But because I'm on break, I decided to make the topic of this week's solo episode rest and mental health. I have a couple other episodes about mental health that I will try to link in the description of this episode, but you can also just kind of search them on my page, just searching Dental Download Podcast and then mental health or comparison, or if you want to hear about any other topics, I probably already have episodes on that as well. DAT, application, interviews, dental school first semester, dental school most recent semesters, they're all on there, as most of you probably know if you are consistent listeners. But we will do our little weekly recap, and then we'll get into some of my tips and thoughts on rest and why it is essential for dental students and how to try to best fit it into your routine. So for this past week, it was the last week of June, and it went pretty smoothly. I was pretty happy with everything. I got a ton of assisting in, and I also had some experience in the orthodontics graduate program, so the orthodontics residents at Michigan, and then I also got a lot of assisting in and my own patients, as well as getting to go to several workout classes, which always makes me happy since I'm paying for that unlimited membership. The more I go, the more bang for my buck I'm getting, if that makes sense. And then I had a few things going on for ASDA and another Bible study for CDA. So on Monday, I had ortho rotation twice. In the morning was through our actual class that all of us third years are taking. We went through some sample cases and kind of discussed them, and then we did an assessment exam on each other. But most of us have had orthodontic treatment already, so it wasn't all that helpful because most people's teeth were in pretty good alignment and there wasn't much treatment that you would recommend. And then I assisted, and then in the afternoon at 2, I went back up to the ortho clinic and I did a shadowing rotation for the elective that I'm in, also for orthodontics. So that's an extra class that myself and probably 20 to 30 other students out of 110 in my class chose and were selected to take. I don't think everyone that applied for the class got to take it, so I'm really grateful for the opportunity. If you're new here or were curious, I do not want to specialize in ortho. I'm planning to be a general dentist, but I want to learn as much as I can about occlusion, about treatment planning for pediatric patients, and about orthodontics in general, because I would like to probably do clear aligners in my office, and understanding which cases I can handle and can't handle is very important, and this elective class helps me with that. The next day, I had a patient at 8 and 2 and then assisted in the middle of it in the afternoon at the 11 slot. Both of them went smoothly. I was able to get everything done that I needed to in those visits. And then I have one of them coming back, I believe, for scaling and root planing that's necessary for them because they're a perio maintenance patient and one of their pockets have gotten quite worse. So we're going to do SRP, and that'll be my first time doing that. And then on Wednesdays, we have class all day and aren't allowed to see patients, but I did go to class, assist, and then go to some more class and do some online classes. And then on Thursday, I assisted at 8 and 11, and then I had my own patient at 2, which was actually my dad. So I've had 2 friends from college come in, but this is the first family member, and I got through the exam, cleaning, and taking upper and lower alginate impressions because I'm going to be making him custom at-home whitening trays. So that was all very productive, and I was happy with it. Some highlights, I would say, just generally kind of letting you know how the semester's flowing. I finally got my first new patient this week. yesterday, actually on Thursday, and I was so excited because I've had patient requests in. I put a couple in May when we started and a couple more in early June, and I finally got one filled for a restorative patient. They do have like intake radiographs that the school takes before they assign them to a student, and I think I see about 2 areas that need restorations, then they should work with just normal composite fillings. And then there's also some edentulous spaces, so I don't know if the patient will be looking for getting a removable prosthetic or maybe looking into implants. I'm not really sure, so I'm just happy to have a new patient and have some work to do because you've probably heard in past episodes I've mostly been doing exams and cleanings, haven't had really any restorative or prosthetic work to do. So I'm really, really grateful to finally have a new patient. And speaking of clinic and wrapping up, there's actually only 2.5 weeks left for me of seeing patients. So this 1 week of July off, and then 2 more weeks of seeing patients, and then I have rotation for 2 weeks, and then there's 2 days, so not even a full half week, that I can see patients in August. It's like August 8th and 9th, and then we take finals and the semester's over. My rotation is going to be for the pediatric clinic, again, built into our D3 curriculum. Everyone does it, but it's all at different times throughout the semester, and that's when mine will be. So I only have 2 more weeks that I can see patients and try to fit everyone in for the last people that haven't been able to get scheduled yet till recently, or if, like I said, this person needs to come back for SRP, or if this new patient is able to come in to kind of fit them all into my schedule. And I actually only have 3 assists left. You heard I assisted a ton this week. I also assisted a ton the week before. And I only have 3 left to do for our requirement of nearly 40. So I'm really, really happy about that because our grade for our clinical class, a percentage of it is related to if we meet our assisting requirements. And last update is that I'm still trying to finish my required test cases. It's stressing me out a little because I don't have any restorative work, like I said, and then I don't have any patients that meet the criteria for our CARES risk assessment. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to find a 4th year whose patient I can do the risk assessment on and then call it a day and be good. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to, but just knowing that it's not done yet does stress me out a little bit. And looking ahead, what's going on this week that I have break, kind of fun. So I'm recording this on Friday, and then it's going up, like I said, on Monday the 4th, because I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I'm going to northern Michigan, a little bit on the east side for a couple days, and a little bit on the northwest side for a couple days, and then I'll spend Wednesday and Thursday home at my parents'. We just got a new puppy. He is precious. He's a little Havanese, if you've heard of the breed, and his name is Theo. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see pictures of him, but he is a cutie pie. And then the following weekend, Friday the 8th, 9th, and then 10th through the Sunday, I'm going to be in Cleveland, Ohio for an ASDA District 6 leadership retreat for everyone that's part of the District 6 cabinet. We'll all get to go there and have Friday night to mingle. Saturday is when all the programming is happening, and then Sunday I think we just check out and drive home from my understanding. And then we'll be back on that Monday with another podcast episode. It's actually a guest, and he is a pediatric dentist with a lot of experience. I know I often bring on new dentists that have been 5, 6, 10 years out of school, but he's been working for decades, I believe, as a pediatric dentist in Colorado and is really passionate about helping dental students and residents and young dentists. So he has a lot of great insight to offer, and I know you'll really enjoy that episode. And I think that's a great place to end this intro. We will get into the main episode topic for this week about rest and mental health in dental school. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right away from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, but also everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available, and you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. did I mention it is totally free, no catch? I've been using Spotify for Podcasters since the very beginning of my show, and now we're nearing our 200th episode. So I can definitely say it's an easy platform, and I've really loved using it. So be sure to download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
The reviews are in for McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Rubble, rubble.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier, the bun is a thing of beauty, the cheese perfectly melted.
Rubble.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Rubble. Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
So this is going to be a shorter episode because I have talked about this before and I have gone really in depth, and I've even had a guest, another dental student, share her perspective. If you want to look up mental health in dental school that I mentioned in the intro, that's a great episode to listen to also. But I really just wanted this to be a quick little reminder, especially because it's being posted on a USA holiday. I assume people will be busier, but I just really wanted it to be a reminder, especially if you just started dental school or you're starting in a month or two, that it is so essential to make rest in all different forms part of your routine and a priority. And when I say different forms of rest, it's going to mean something different for everybody. For me, maybe not when dental school first started because it was like peak COVID and everything was weird. But right now, being physically active is essential for me to be happy and to not feel sore after a long day of clinic because I'm stronger. If you have a stronger core, if your arms are stronger, your like muscles in your wrists and your hands are stronger even, you are less sore after a long day of clinic. And if you want to relate it directly to dentistry, I think that's very important to prioritize for the longevity of your career and being able to practice for a long time and help as many patients as possible. But it also is more just like my me time and time to relax and decompress and just whatever's going on, it can pause for 50 minutes while I go into this workout class, leave my phone in the locker and not think about anything. And I think that just underrated and something people don't always think to mention. So that is definitely a form of rest, even though it's more like active rest, but it's a mental break, time to reset and do something good for yourself that is selfish almost, like something that is 100% for you. And I think that that's so important for your well-being and your ability to be the best version of yourself and to give that to the patients you're interacting with, your classmates, your friends, your family, when you're spending time with them. If you're a happier, healthier person, it's, I think, beneficial to everybody.
And now, another episode of Dr. Harry Balzac, Underwear Therapist.
Doc, I'm sweating the small stuff. I can't sit still. I feel like I'm in such a pinch.
Well, this sounds like a clear case of scrotus tutitis. To put it simply, you need to upgrade your underwear to Tommy John. You can get 20% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/Spotify.
Now can we talk about my...
Oh, I'm sorry, our time is up. But remember, 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/Spotify. See site for details.
Another thing that I've noticed, especially just being back fully in person now compared to first year when I was home all the time or like only going into school for a couple hours at a time. But it doesn't really matter if I get home at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. I am just exhausted and I could literally go right to bed. And sometimes I do go to bed at like 8:30. And that relates perfectly to actual rest. But despite that, talking even about first and second year that were much more book heavy compared to now that's clinical, like it is very different. But I've definitely always made sleep a priority in dental school. I feel like the least amount that I've gotten is maybe like 5 or 6 hours. And that was more so because I couldn't fall asleep because I was like anxious about something the next day. But I know a lot of people in my class or classes below me that genuinely developed like sleeping problems during dental school and had to go see physicians, see therapists, get sleeping medication. So if that's something that you're dealing with, I definitely encourage you to actually take it seriously, go see a doctor, have some tests run and see if maybe you're deficient in like some kind of nutrients or protein or B12 or something, or if it's more a mental problem and you have anxiety that you're not realizing or something. I know I have a close friend that was kind of in that situation, and some people, they can kind of figure it out by working with a therapist, and other people, it honestly just makes more sense to have a medication. And whether that is sleeping or something else you're dealing with, I just want to say that it's very common to have changes in your mental health during dental school, and you shouldn't feel alone or concerned, I guess, if things feel different, because it is normal. It's just a whole different type of pressure that you might be putting on yourself, or you might feel from classmates or peers or maybe family members. And it is more stressful in the sense that it was one thing in undergrad to be trying to get into dental school, study for exams, do well, but now it's all relating back to actually taking care of someone and providing something that they need. And although dentistry is a lot lower risk than maybe being a physician in different areas of medicine, it still has a lot of risk, and you could definitely hurt someone. And I think that's where I find stress nowadays in clinic. But even just back when I was studying, I felt kind of the imposter syndrome coming in when you're wondering, like, how am I supposed to know all this information? And if I don't know all this information, am I a bad dentist? But at the end of the day, they're testing us so many times, class by class. They're testing us with multiple types of boards exams. They're testing us clinically. And if you're going to make it through that, you are competent, and you have to recognize and reflect on the fact that you got into dental school for a reason. It's very competitive to get into dental school in the first place. So if you were accepted to this program, you need to look inside yourself and realize that you're here for a reason, despite what you may think about your peers and think how you might compare to them. Another great reason to listen to the episode more specifically about comparison. But I recommend that you try to focus on yourself and focus on what makes you happy and what areas of dental school specifically you find enjoyment in, and spend more time focusing on that rather than your areas that are just not interesting or classes that just don't click. If you're really bad at your prosthodontics class, maybe you just don't become a prosthodontist, and it's fine. And you need to know the basics, and you probably will, because you'll be able to pass the class to continue on in dental school. And I have found that faculty are very supportive, and for students that do need remediation or something, they usually all get it right and get through after the one round of trying to remediate. And people do want to help you. If you ask to meet with faculty one-on-one or ask a classmate to explain something to you, I pretty much guarantee that you're going to walk out of there glad that you did it, and you will understand something better. So it is pretty key in dental school to be willing to admit when you need help and ask for help. And that saying of there's no such thing as a stupid question kind of applies. I feel like I've talked about that in other episodes and in videos too, just like you can't be scared to tell someone when you don't understand something. I've mentioned that when it comes to SimLab. I'm kind of jumping around, but like in SimLab, for example, my very first couple days, I had faculty coming over, oh, I don't like XYZ about your prep. You see what I mean? And genuinely, I had no clue what they were talking about. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't see it. You just don't have like the eye for it yet. But over time, I got it. And by telling them, honestly, no, like, how are you holding the Explorer so that you feel the texture change, so that you know that my floor is uneven? And then they actually show you and they go more in detail. But if you say, oh, yeah, sure, then you're going to go a few more weeks confused and slow down your own progress. So asking questions is important for progress. And I know this is really off topic of rest and mental health, but I think it can give you tools to feel maybe less stressed and to maybe make more strides, and again, avoid comparison, because recognizing that everyone is struggling with different things and everyone's excelling in different things allows you to just focus on your own individuality and focus on your own needs and look for ways to take care of yourself, whether that's like the active rest that I talked about in the first part of this, things that you do that allow you to kind of just mentally check out and do things for yourself, if that's cooking, going for a walk, exercise, reading, whatever it may be, and then physical rest, actually getting your sleep, taking a moment to breathe if you're having a tough time. All of those can really make a big difference when it comes to stress, at least for me. Hopefully there was something in this episode that you found useful. I know it was really short, but like I said, with the holiday, I wanted to keep it short and sweet. So I will talk to you all next week when we have our guest, Dr. Sean Whalen, the pediatric dentist from Colorado.